Brian Palavai on Far here with Jim Walmsley after his win at the 2024 Western States 100. How are you, Jim?
Doing good, yeah. Really satisfied after yesterday.
Are you?
Yeah.
Like, you've had, races that a couple races that didn't go well here, a couple races that have gone phenomenally. Where do you put yesterday amongst the...
Definitely in the phenomenal category, if not like contention of the best run I've ever had here. And that, especially when you just get caught in a dogfight at the end, you don't know what you're gonna have, how you're gonna respond, and yeah, you take away so much when those answers are there and the legs are there and you're able to get the most out of yourself, and it takes competition to get to that level.
I was gonna ask, is it more rewarding having you can have a perfect time trial, but to have it where you are battling the whole...
I like the time trial better. It's a little less stressful.
A little stressful.
It's controlled by me. Yeah, but this one's a lot more rewarding than a time trial going perfect. And but yeah, my two fastest times, I've had someone on my heels. This one even more so.
Even more so,
but in front of me, not even on my heels. Just I'm like
10 times.
Many times, yeah. So yeah, it was another fast year.
I mean, in retrospect, it's not the pre-race interview, it's the post-race interview. Did you feel on top of your game coming into the race? Were you A+, Jim?
Yeah, looking at the weather, I mean, I didn't do many tests. I don't do as many tests as I used to do as a younger self, and so I was confident, but nothing to point at and say it's there, but confident. And then I think looking at the weather and kind of how I was feeling, and even the little uphill race last weekend felt good and kind of check. And so I was thinking I could beat my second fastest time of 14:30 and thinking that maybe 14:20s would be what it takes. And but also I did no paces, splits. I know some splits of rough estimates, but they're usually 3.5 hours, 4.5 hours, just 9 hours at Forest Hill. I know that's kind of the ballpark to be in, but I just ran completely by feel all day and just let my legs
take care of it. So going up the escarpment, Rod was at least saying it seemed like you were we're going slow and even slower, intentionally maybe, or did it feel that way? Or were you just chilling on your way up the first climb?
Yeah, I mean, I want to chill. I think if you're antsy and you're chomping at the bit to get going, it's not the best place to be in a 100-miler, and you need to be patient, relaxed, and let the day come to you.
This is not Jim 2016.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think I said in a pre-race interview with someone else that I wouldn't want to race my younger self, but it has to do mostly with you just know it's going to start with fire, and you don't know, is it going to stick, is it not going to stick, but you have to go with it, so you don't know if I'm coming back. And yeah, I think you still have to call the shot of a younger self, and it's just mentally be prepared for a fast run.
I mean, you've been pushed here before by Jared Hayes.
Yeah, but it was a very, very different experience because we didn't see each other all day. I just knew that I was not gaining any time. I was not losing any. It was just there. I think it was stuck at 8 minutes all day. It just, this ghost of fear, where this one, there's such a battle going on, especially mainly with Rod throughout most of the day. And I think it was Hayden and Dan Jones that first caught me, which up until that point, I didn't know if everybody was just going to let me go and just oh, Jim does his thing and we're going to run slower, because that's generally what happens. But then they ended up catching me and passing me, and so descending into Swinging Bridge, just kind of sat on them a bit, but I think the pace really chilled. And then before we hit the Swinging Bridge, and essentially Dakota and Rod caught us right at the bottom, but then ran up Devil's Thumb and was able to make gaps on the uphill, and that there was a big confidence check of just where everybody's at, and knowing that a climb like that I can just put at least a minute, but maybe more. And like I was with everybody. I was behind. I started the climb behind all of them, and then was at least a minute ahead. I don't know exactly. So then the idea was, well, maybe we go over the top and see, because I think when the pack develops behind, if they get really complacent, all of a sudden, if I can attack, then all of a sudden, boom, I got 10 minutes, and it's like, all right, now I'm in full control. But I would say, yeah, that didn't happen. I got followed and chased and passed many times after that.
Yeah, and that's not something that you're really used to. Like, because at a UTMB many years, like, people will go out together, and it'll be 7 guys, and then 5 guys, and 3 guys, and you're at Courmayeur, and you might be alone by then, or it might be one other guy. But
I think there's enough difference in strategies with this, temperature management, that creates a lot of the yo-yo effect. Yeah, so I stuck to my plans and took care of me and what I needed to do, and sometimes that cost me time, and just banking that it would keep me fresher longer, and there would be an opportunity late. And yeah, I feel like at this point I've been in some really hard-fought ultras, and just drawing confidence on those experiences, and yet again gonna draw a lot of confidence from this one, just knowing that I was able to respond when I needed to.
Yeah. Did it ever start to feel like a 2-man race with you and Rod? Like, did you?
Yeah, I had no idea. I think we had heard someone's coming to the river behind us, so that was my first thought. But I don't know. And then I think the last time I passed Rod, 80-something miles, I didn't know if someone was coming hard charging, gonna pass Rod, and then it's like, what's the gap behind me? And I'm like, I don't know who's it behind me or what's happening. All I know is I was really desperate to try to put some time in to not have a extreme race from Pointed Rocks in. I'd say there's history of that happening. I think most notably like Claire Gallagher and I think, was it Brittany? But yeah, crazy downhill finish, and just knowing that can happen, I don't want to get caught in that. So if I can deflate a little bit to just make it like 3 minutes and just put in someone's head, they got to close like 20 seconds, 30 seconds per mile faster. And if I can maintain a good pace, then I know I have a chance of not having the sprint finish.
So Rod said it felt like you made a pretty distinct move heading toward ALT. Is that the case?
Well, from his perception, probably it seems like that. But I mean, I left Green Gate. I took it, like I glanced up when he was moving out. And then I glanced when I was at the same spot, and it was over 2.5 minutes. So in reality, it was like hard charging to catch him, and it took 4 miles just to catch him. But at that point, I knew my momentum was going faster. So little Zach Miller scenario again, like, do I pause, relax, or just go over the top and attack again? And yeah, I like that strategy, I guess. So I just kept flowing, and because sometimes you change the pace a bit, and maybe the feeling in the legs can change. So the legs were feeling really good, the feet were feeling good, and I continued to roll with it.
Yeah. There are historic cases here of people having collapses in the last 10 miles.
It's in my head. I think I've jokingly said I'm not going to run in 2026. Just the sixes are bad luck.
I wasn't even putting you, but it's not just you. Like people have finished.
Brian Morrison had 2006. I had 2016. So the joke after mine was just 6 years with 6 are bad. And I'm like, yeah, good one to skip.
So were you trying to? Is there some point in that last 10 miles where you feel like you have a nice little cushion and your legs still feel good and you can kind of not take it for granted, but like cruise to the finish?
Pointed Rocks, I think I heard from my crew that the gap had opened, and essentially I was going to be able to hold on, but then at the same time I still want to continue to press, because people get motivated as they start smelling the barn, and I know that happens, and just I didn't want someone hard charging to be able to catch me.
You also didn't have to take any risks.
Yeah, it definitely came to more management after Pointed Rocks.
Did you have any real low spells during the race?
I would say not like really low spells, but lots of low moments. I would say the dips weren't so low, but flatness, stomach issues. So there's ups and downs. I mean, it's still not average, or warm year is still hot, and it's to be expected. So I think I was mentally prepared for the moments I did have, and then probably caught fire after Green Gate. I would say it was kind of the only like real flow that I felt I got, but perhaps that's just mentally hanging in there, latching on when I needed to, and yeah, using the momentum of Rod and his pacers. I mean, he had an all-star team, so latching on when I had to, and just like making it hard to get a gap and just hang in, and knowing that if you get close enough, like the motivation changes and it can happen.
Yeah. So even though you've run a little bit faster on this course once, does this feel on par with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's 14 degrees warmer. Perhaps we're seeing roll over into some faster shoe stuff playing a factor. I mean, you have to consider that. More and more people, I feel like, are, I guess I kind of say, I've joked that like, oh, I drive here because I'm completely overkill with coolers, ice, crew, redundancy, because I know what can go wrong, perhaps will go wrong, and just trying to make redundancy in that, and that's probably why the successive good races at this point. But you see more and more people doing more overboard, and I'm now at a point where I need to start looking a lot more around me, because people are doing a lot of good things that I need to consider adopting as well.
Not just the competition pushing one another and the whole bar raising, it's little incremental changes that different people are...
There's more and more people just taking it as serious as I was taking it, and perhaps like I came in with a bit of more intensity to try to go over the top with what I'm doing and how I'm managing and this and that, and now you see people coming in with different strategies that are faster essentially. And
have you picked any up in the last year or two?
I stuck with the same system that I've done, 2 bottles, lots of ice everywhere. Yeah, I know some places I need to adjust and carry things a bit more efficiently.
Yeah.
But things, I think the patient taking care of myself strategy has proved to be a closer race and not as hot a years, but it tends to work year to year.
So you've won this race 4 times. You have the course record. You have like a lot of the fastest times on the course.
A lot of my times got bumped back now.
Aside from this year, and you now finally hit your goal of winning UTMB. Like, you've accomplished a lot. Like, there's not a lot of boxes left to check. What motivates you, or what?
I mean, at this level, it becomes more and more almost zeroing in on the Western states, zeroing in on the UTMBs, and those are really like, as a career, set you apart. And now you get compared to the Killians, the Francois, Courtney's, and essentially like that's the category I guess I shoot for at this point. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I lost that race several times. I felt like I broke away several times, and the ups and downs of this race was really wild.
Yeah. So you could see yourself continuing to come back here.
Yeah, I think I told Jess before this race of if I can win either one again, perhaps the idea is to just try to defend titles as long as I can, and just when that ends, then it ends. But yeah, I don't know. But then also, I think next year in 2025, UTMB and the World Trail Championships kind of conflict. So the World Trail Championships isn't a race I've been able to participate in, and it's going to be in the Pyrenees, which I think is a really cool mountain range and really steep, really like something almost similar to UTMB. So that one's really attracting, but we'll have to see what goes on at UTMB this year.
You're consciously thinking of legacy, and in legacy in the terms of being one of those real dominant people at a particular race or two.
Yeah. And then whether I go back to road ultras, I don't know. I've always said those kind of like suck my energy a lot. It's like a marathon. It's just really, really hard to concentrate on speed, fluidness with your stride, efficiency, asphalt surfaces, road shoes now. I don't know. But I definitely enjoy the trails. I think that's where my heart is, and probably where I'll stay.
Right on. Well, congratulations on your great run there, Jim.
Thanks so much.
Take care.